Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our afternoon read aloud. As you know, we're reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We are almost done with our book. It's starting to get pretty good. One of my favorite books. I wonder how you feel about it. It's really hard not being able to talk to you about the book because that's one of my favorite things. So I guess you just have to listen to all my ideas and thoughts and deal with it. You know where we left off. They were going into what room? The TV room, the chocolate television room. And who was really excited about that? None other than Mike TV. There are two children remaining. We have Charlie Bucket and we have Mike TV. The other children got swept away, and Mr. Wonka keeps saying, they'll come out in the wash. And I guess everyone's okay with that idea. No one's called 911 yet. I wonder why. So Mike TV, Charlie Bucket, Mike TV's mom and dad are there, and then we know who went with Charlie Bucket. None other than Grandpa Joe. He was very excited about it. He is very old, and he's with Charlie. So we have three parents, Mike TV's mom and dad, Grandpa Joe, and then we have Charlie Bucket and Mike TV. And now they're going into the chocolate television room, but Willy Wonka said, be careful. This is a dangerous room. Make sure you don't touch anything. So let's see what happens. Chapter 26, The Television Room. The TV family, together with Charlie and Grandpa Joe, stepped out of the elevator into a room so dazzlingly bright and dazzlingly white that they screwed up their eyes in pain and stopped walking. Mr. Wonka handed each of them a pair of dark glasses and said, put these on quick, and don't take them off in here whatever you do. The light could blind you. As soon as Charlie had his dark glasses on, he was able to look around in comfort. He saw a long, narrow room. The room was painted white all over. Even the floor was white. And there wasn't a speck of dust anywhere. From the ceiling, huge lamps hung down and bathed the room in brilliant blue-white light. The room was completely bare except for the far end. At one of the ends, there was an enormous camera on wheels, and a whole army of Oompa Loompas was clustering around it, oiling its joints and adjusting its knobs and polishing its great glass lens. The Oompa Loompas were all dressed in the most extraordinary way. They were wearing bright red spacesuits, complete with helmets and goggles. At least they looked like spacesuits. And they were working in complete silence. Watching them, Charlie experienced a queer sense of danger. There was something dangerous about this whole business, and the Oompa Loompas knew it. There was no chattering or singing among them here, and they moved about over the huge black camera slowly and carefully in their scarlet spacesuits. At the other end of the room, about 50 paces away from the camera, a single Oompa Loompa, also wearing a spacesuit, was sitting at a black table gazing at the screen of a very large television set. Here we go, cried Mr. Wonka, hopping up and down with excitement. This is the testing room for my very latest and greatest invention, television chocolate. What is television chocolate? Asked Mike TV. Good heavens, child, stop interrupting me, said Mr. Wonka. It works by television. I don't like television myself. I suppose it's all right in small doses, but children never seem to be able to take it in small doses. They want to sit there all day long, staring and staring at the screen. Yeah, it's me, said Mike TV. Shush, said Mr. TV. Thank you, said Mr. Wonka. I shall now tell you how this amazing television set of mine works. But first of all, do you know how ordinary television works? It is very simple. At one end, where the picture is being taken, you have a large movie camera and you start photographing something. The photographs are then split up into millions of tiny little pieces which are so small that you can't see them. And these little pieces are shot out into the sky by electricity. In the sky, they go whizzing around all over the place until suddenly they hit an antenna on the roof of somebody's house. Then they go flashing down the wire that leads right into the back of the television set. And in there, they get jiggled and joggled around until at last, every single one of those millions of tiny pieces is fitted back into its right place, just like a jigsaw puzzle, and presto, the photograph appears on the screen. That isn't exactly how it works, Mike TV said. I'm a little deaf in my ear, Mr. Wonka said. You must forgive me if I don't hear everything you're saying. I said, that isn't exactly how it works, shouted Mike TV. You're a nice boy, Mr. Wonka said, but you talk too much now. Now then, the very first time I saw ordinary television working, I was struck by a tremendous idea. "Look here," I shouted. "If these people can break up photographs into millions of pieces and send the pieces whizzing through the air and then put them together again at the other end, why can't I do the same thing with a bar of chocolate? Why can't I send a real bar of chocolate whizzing through the air in tiny pieces and then put the pieces together at the other end, all ready to be eaten?" "Impossible," said Mike TV. "You think so?" cried Mr. Wonka. "Well, watch this. I shall now send a bar of my very best chocolate from one end of this room to the other by television. Get ready. Bring in the chocolate." Immediately, 6 Oompa Loompas marched forward, carrying on their shoulders the most enormous bar of chocolate Charlie had ever seen. It was about the size of the mattress he slept at home. So here's a couple pictures. No, they're a little bit hard to see. There's Mike TV and Mr. Wonka. And then here's the big bar of chocolate that the Oompa Loompas marched in with. It's a huge bar of chocolate. So what he wants to do is send chocolate through the air like television. So it will break up into a bunch of little tiny pieces and then magically appear in someone's house. You can tell Willy Wonka does not like television that much. Who does like television? Mike TV loves television, so he is very interested in this invention. Seems like a crazy invention to me. Let's see what happens. "It has to be big," Mr. Wonka explained, "because whenever you send something by television, it always comes out much smaller than it was when it went in. Even with ordinary television, when you photograph a big man, he never comes out on your screen any taller than a pencil, does he? Here we go then. Get ready. No, stop. Hold everything. You there, Mike TV. Stand back. You're too close to the camera. There are dangerous rays coming out of that thing. They could break you up into a million tiny pieces in 1 second. That's why the Oompa Loompas are wearing spacesuits. The suits protect them. All right, that's better. Now then, turn the switch on." One of the Oompa Loompas caught hold of the large switch and pulled it down. There was a blinding flash. "The chocolate's gone," shouted Grandpa Joe, waving his arms. He was quite right. The whole enormous bar of chocolate had disappeared completely into thin air. "It's on its way," cried Mr. Wonka. "It is now rushing through the air above our heads in a million tiny pieces. Quick, come over here." He dashed over to the other end of the room where the large television set was standing, and the others followed him. "Watch the screen," he cried. "Here it comes. Look." The screen flickered and it lit up. Then suddenly, a small bar of chocolate appeared in the middle of the screen. "Take it," shouted Mr. Wonka, growing more and more excited. "How you take it?" asked Mike TV, laughing. "It's just a picture on a television screen." "Charlie Bucket," cried Mr. Wonka, "you take it. Reach out and grab it." Charlie put out his hand and touched the screen, and suddenly, miraculously, the bar of chocolate came away in his fingers. He was so surprised, he nearly dropped it. "Eat it," shouted Mr. Wonka. "Go on and eat it. It'll be delicious. It's the same bar. It's gotten smaller on the journey, that's all." "It's absolutely fantastic," gasped Grandpa Joe. It's a miracle." "Just imagine," cried Mr. Wonka, "when I start using this across the country, you'll be sitting at home watching television and suddenly a commercial will flash onto the screen and a voice will say, 'Eat Wonka's chocolates. They're the best in the world. If you don't believe us, try one for yourself right now.' And you simply reach out and take one. How about that?" "Terrific," cried Grandpa Joe. "It's going to change the world." And there's the end of this chapter. It was another short one. So Willy Wonka has invented something where he can send you chocolate through the television. That seems kind of awesome if I could just reach into the television and grab something and eat it. Because I watch the commercials on TV all the time and they make the food look so good. I just wish if I could just reach out and grab it, that would be great. Mike TV doesn't seem as impressed. You know, Charlie is excited. Grandpa Joe is excited. So we'll see what happens next. Tune in on Monday. I'll read the next chapter of Charlie. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.